What's going on YouTube? I'm Nick the Tutor, and this channel is dedicated to improving your SAT, ACT, and AP scores. Today's video, we have a video for all the slackers out there, how to improve your SAT score with only 1 month to go. In this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly how to do it. Now, when I studied for the SAT, I was not the best student, so maybe I wasn't spending enough time studying. I did end up doing well, but I probably could have used more time, but I know because of that, exactly how to prepare in a short amount of time. So I'm going to explain that to you guys today. Now, I'm going to give you guys a step-by-step approach. You want to make sure to watch the entirety of this video so you understand the process because it all ties in together. Now, let's get into the first step, which is something that I talk about over and over and over again, which is the diagnostic test. Step number one, you must take a diagnostic test to see where you stand, and so we can evaluate your progress and make sure we can create a plan to bring your score up to a certain degree. Now, you can do that on Khan Academy. You can do it by downloading some kind of test online from the College Board website. You could also do that with my company by going to my website, and you can take a free diagnostic test over Zoom. But whatever way you do it, the important fact is you take the test and you use that as a starting point to evaluate how much studying you want to do. Now, with only 1 month to the test, you probably want to consider studying for about 10 hours per week so you can get something like 40 hours of work in by the time you take your real SAT. And step number two, you want to create a plan of action so you know what you're doing on each day because you only have 1 month. So if you're going to get 40 hours in 1 month, you're going to have to study at least an hour a day, obviously a little bit more than that, and a plan will really help you with that. Now, a great plan would be kind of a 3-day plan. So you have 3-day structure. Day one, you take the practice test. Day two, you review it. And day three, you then learn content. So day one, practice test. Day two, review the practice test. Find some errors, find some areas for improvement. And then day three, you then study those areas. So you study your grammar rules, your math formulas, and whatever other principles that you need to know for the test. And then you rinse and repeat that. Now, if you get that down to some kind of schedule, that could be really great. You also could go with a 7-day schedule where you take the practice test on the weekend and then you do smaller reviews throughout the week. And then next weekend, you take the practice test again. Those are 2 schedules I recommend, but coming up with some kind of schedule is so important. Now, step number 3, like I said earlier, you're going to want to spend at least close to 10 hours a week on your prep. In order to prepare for the SAT, you usually to do at least 40 hours of work. That's kind of an arbitrary number, but we have found that to be successful. So if you can get that amount of work in, that would be great. That does include maybe doing something like 6, 7, 8 practice tests and reviewing them, and that will really help you improve your score. I'd be highly, highly surprised if you did all that and you didn't improve at least a little bit. Now, like I said, we're gonna go through a possible plan here, the forward plan, where week 1, you've taken your practice test, you break it down, you spend those days reviewing it, maybe doing some other practice sets, breaking those down, and then that next weekend, you go back to the practice test again. So step number 4 is in week 1, you make sure to take that practice test, you make sure to review it, and then you make sure to break it down. What you would do in week 2 would be you would break down the practices again, a different practice test, and what you want to do this time is make a comparison to your first test. So you want to say to yourself, okay, I did Nick's plan, I took the practice test, I studied, I reviewed it, I studied some of the topics, and now I'm taking week 2 test. In the week 2 test, you need to evaluate where you improved, where you didn't improve, and if anything, where you need to work on for that week. And then what you do is you prioritize your work for that week into the weaker areas. So you take your weaker areas and you spend a little bit more time trying to bring those up. And this is a strategy if you only have 1 month. If you have longer than 1 month, you could probably go with something different. But if you only have 1 month, you need to address those weaknesses early on, and then we can work on our strengths as we get later in the weeks. All right, guys, so now that you get the plan, you take the practice test, you review it, you do that week by week, you find your areas for improvement and you improve, right? So that's the basic structure of the plan. Step number 5 is you have to understand some kind of strategy for the test. You cannot just beat questions into your head for 4 weeks and improve that much. You will improve some, but if you want to improve, say, over 100 points or 150 points, you're going to have to get a strategy down. Now you're like, Nick, how am I supposed to get a strategy in 1 month? Because most SAT classes last for 2 months, 3 months leading up to the test. Well, there's a few things you could do. Number 1, you could seek materials online. So you might want to find strategies online. You can find websites. You can go on Khan Academy. You also could use something like our book, which is created directly for strategy and only to teach you strategy. Number 2, you could take some kind of online course. Now, there are some very expensive online courses out there. I haven't taken them myself. You have the Prep Scholars, I'm sure Kaplan, Princeton Review, whatever. Those things are probably going to cost you $200, $300, $400. Don't do that, my dude. That's total waste of time, way too much money. If you're going to spend $400, you might as well take a real class. We actually have a a strategy only course, that's a much better play, because right now with the promotions we have going on, it's going to be under $100, maybe even under $50 if you catch it at the right time. But the key is you're getting a great cost for the value of strategy, understanding the test. Now, the sixth thing you need to do, and part of the plan, is to understand the psychology of the exam. Number one, build up your own confidence. So by understanding the test, by doing all this work, you want to understand that you now understand the test and you can approach it in a better way. Number two, you want to understand the psychology of the SAT itself. How are they playing tricks on you? Why is stamina a component? Why are certain questions placed in inconvenient areas so that you may trip up, you may waste time, so on and so forth? You have to understand that, and that will help you if you only have a short amount of time to prep for the test, because you're not going to be able to just learn that by osmosis. You're going to have to actually focus on learning the psychology and the timing of the test. The next thing I would do is, if you don't have a lot of time to prepare, definitely obtain some kind of SAT or ACT watch. That will greatly assist you in taking the test on test day, especially if you only have time to, say, do 4 practice tests. You may not really have the timing down that well, but if you take each test utilizing something like an SAT watch, then you probably will have the timing down a lot better than someone that wasn't timing themselves, or someone that did not pay attention to time while they were doing the test. So that would be one thing I think you would add on top of all these other things. It's a cheap cost, probably like $30, that will improve your score if you only have 1 month. All right, the last thing I would do, guys, is create a cheat sheet, right? So create an SAT cheat sheet for yourself, all of your strategies, all of the formulas and rules you maybe don't remember or that you need to remember. I would carry that around with you. I would literally carry it into the car on the way to the test, and I would review it before I walk out into the testing center. Look, dude, you can even laminate it and study it in the shower, while you're brushing your teeth, while you're laying down in bed, tape it to the ceiling in your room. Whatever you have to do, make that your guide, your Bible, whatever you want to call it. It needs to be the most important thing to you. You also can utilize flashcards and Quizlets, online quizzes, whatever the case may be. You need to use as many study habits to condense the information and to cram it into your brain as possible. You don't have the luxury of just letting the information flow into your mind by doing 1,000 questions over 6 months. Look, some students are going to do that and they'll probably be really successful with the test, but you have to cram the information in. So you need to use every study tool available to you. So definitely do that. And lastly, guys, go into the test with confidence. You cannot lack confidence and study it a month and then succeed on the test. If you go into it lacking confidence and you think you're going to do poorly on the test, that's probably going to happen. If you convince yourself that you've done your best, you've prepared the most you possibly can, and you go in there saying, I'm just going to take this test, I'm not going to worry about the score, whatever happens, happens, you will take the psychological stress off yourself and you'll be able to succeed on the SAT in only 1 month. Drop a like on this video. Let me know what you're thinking below. Comment some of your study habits, comment some of your strategies. We'll get the combo going. I'll see you guys soon.